No one thought a cup of water could make your heart stop. But at Panera, it happened. A 21-year-old student drank a glass of charged lemonade and died in less than an hour. A cup of water that seemed harmless, but contained more caffeine than 6 espressos combined. And that was just the beginning. But wait, this is not just the story of one cup of water. This is the story of the downfall of a brand once loved by America, even more than Starbucks and McDonald's. So why did Panera end up here? Perhaps it wasn't just a momentary mistake, but the consequence of a long process, where they themselves strangled the very values that built them. Stay with this video, because what you're about to see may make you question not only Panera, but many other brands you once trusted. Reason 1. From fresh bread to frozen goods, Panera has lost its core. The death of a brand doesn't begin with scandal. It begins with a dry piece of bread, a salad that doesn't fill you up, a bill that makes you feel like you've been cheated. That's how Panera lost customers one by one until the whole of America turned its back. There was a time when Panera Bread was America's favorite destination. Not because of cheap prices or flashy promotions, but because it was real in an era when everything else felt industrial. Bread was baked from fresh dough every day. Hot soup inside a crusty bread bowl was the signature dish everyone had tried at least once. The warm atmosphere, the golden light staff remembering customers' names. People came not just to eat, but to sit, to meet friends, to feel like they belonged. Panera once stood for what every food brand desired: trust and familiarity. But then, everything changed, and not for the better. From mid-2024 until now, Panera has closed stores across the country. Some had been operating for decades and still couldn't survive. The shutdown of fresh dough facilities only fueled customer frustration. Bread that once was the soul of Panera is now frozen product reheated in an oven. And while quality declined noticeably, prices kept climbing without warning. Many customers began abandoning Panera when they realized they were paying more than $15 for a plain salad or nearly $40 for a two-person meal where no one felt full. The most common reaction was silence, no anger. They simply stopped coming back. No harsh comments, no loud farewells. Just one day, Panera disappeared from the list of places they cared to visit. On forums and social media, more and more people shared their disappointment after recent visits. Some recounted walking into a newly opened store, hoping for the old flavors, only to meet emptiness: sandwiches with almost no meat, smaller portions, a cold atmosphere, empty tables. Others admitted they still held a few Panera gift cards, but no longer felt motivated to use them. Not out of hate, but because it no longer felt worth it. In truth, you don't even need to read the complaints to see it. Just step into a Panera at lunchtime. Tables that once were full now sit empty. No more office workers rushing in for lunch, students gathering for study groups, or families sharing a meal. The warm, bustling atmosphere has been replaced by an eerie silence. It feels like walking into a forgotten restaurant. Meanwhile, on the other side, Casey's, a name once tied only to Midwest convenience stores, is surging. No one thought a gas station brand could become America's 5th largest pizza chain. But they did. Not through high-tech innovation or million-dollar marketing, but by sticking to the basics: making pizza on site, keeping prices fair, serving what people actually need. Casey's didn't change to look modern. They just did the right thing while others gave up. The comparison is painful if you once loved Panera, but it's clear. A brand that once led has lost its identity. A name once called America's neighborhood cafe is no longer the choice of those who supported it for years. But the reason customers turned away wasn't only declining food quality. There was something else that made people feel even more betrayed. Keep watching. Reason 2. Charged lemonade. When a cup of water becomes a disaster. A brand can survive many mistakes, but not after a customer's death. Especially when that death came from a drink you thought was safe. Charged lemonade was once advertised as a refreshing beverage at Panera, but in less than 2 years, it became the center of lawsuits, accusations, and simmering outrage. Sarah Katz, 21, a University of Pennsylvania student, had a congenital heart condition. She wasn't reckless or ignorant. She knew to avoid caffeine and took care of her health. But one September day, she bought a cup of charged lemonade at Panera. Less than an hour later, she collapsed from cardiac arrest. No one expected a lemonade to contain more caffeine than 6 espressos combined. Even worse, the drink was placed next to healthy items with no clear warning. Her family sued. They said Panera failed to tell customers what they were drinking. But Sarah wasn't the only one. A few months later, a 46-year-old man in Florida also died after drinking 3 bottles of charged lemonade in a row. He had health issues, but didn't know what he drank could be the final straw. Then came a sports coach left with permanent heart damage. A teenager who went into cardiac arrest while watching a movie right after drinking it. This was no longer isolated, it was a chain of tragedies. Panera's initial response was trickling. They added a small warning line to the menu without a public apology. Only when the media dug deeper did they announce a menu overhaul, quietly pulling the drink in mid-2024. But it wasn't until summer 2025 that they settled lawsuits silently without admitting responsibility. And the court records were dismissed under terms that barred appeal. No clear apology, no fundamental change, no transparency. For older customers, this wasn't just about a drink. It was the collapse of trust. Panera had been a place people went to feel safe. Clean food, a calm environment, not a source of anxiety. But now a drink as clear as lemonade had become something people feared. And when trust is gone, no menu can save it. No ad can patch the feeling of betrayal. Ironically, a company that built its image on healthy food was now tied to heartbreaking cases like these. What made people angry wasn't just the deaths themselves, but Panera's response. No proactivity, no swift action, no compassion at the right time, only delay and silence. And that was only part of the story, because the issue wasn't just one controversial drink. It was a sign Panera had changed. No longer a consumer-first brand, acting instead like a profit-first corporation, not the community cafe it once was. From the scandalous drink to its treatment of workers to declining standards, one truth is clear: Panera is no longer America's neighborhood cafe. It is a Wall Street asset stripped of its original ethics. Reason 3. Panera is no longer the people's cafe, it belongs to Wall Street.
You know, I'm 52 years old. That was my retirement. Now me and my wife are stuck. We're stuck.
There is a feeling older Americans know well. The feeling of being replaced. You work hard your whole life, stay loyal to a place for years, believe you're part of something. And then one day it's gone. No warning, no thanks. Just an email, a locked door, an empty storefront. Exactly how Panera is vanishing from the lives of hundreds of employees and millions of loyal customers. In Houston, more than a dozen Panera stores closed suddenly. No notice, no time to prepare. Hundreds lost jobs right before payday. A 52-year-old man who had worked his whole life in the system stood before cameras and said that without money that weekend, he would be on the streets. He wasn't seeking pity. He was telling the truth. This was his retirement plan. And now he and his wife were stranded. You could hear the pain in his voice, something no balance sheet can measure. Panera was once the people's brand. From small bakeries where people knew each other's names to fresh bread baked overnight. But slowly, quietly, everything changed. Longtime bakers were laid off as Panera switched to frozen outsourced bread. The proud no antibiotics and grass-fed signs were quietly removed in internal documents to save a few $1 million before IPO. Then came the child labor scandal. Nearly 240 children under 16 were found working overtime at Panera stores in Florida. The government called it oppressive labor. Panera called it a franchise issue. But for consumers, it was a blow to the very ethics the brand once represented. You see, this is no longer about a single drink or a disappointing meal. This is the story of a company that has lost its soul. Every decision now seems to come not from customers or communities, but from boardroom meetings somewhere far away. Just like Red Lobster, just like Boston Market, financial funds take over, cut, streamline, squeeze costs, then exit, leaving behind once beloved brands now hollow shells. But if you think the story ends with lost values and ethics, wait for reason 4. Because even if you accept worse food, even if you accept the new business model, there is still one thing that hurts more than anything else when you, the loyal customer for years, are no longer the one they want to serve. Keep watching. Reason 4. Loyal customers treated like strangers. There are things no one needs to say out loud, but everyone can feel. Like when you walk into a place that once felt familiar, once made you feel welcome, and then one day you realize you're no longer seen as someone who belongs, even though you're still the same person, even though you've been there hundreds of times, even though you once brought your family, friends, colleagues there. Just like how many Americans feel when they return to Panera today. Loyal customers are the backbone of every brand. But at Panera, that no longer seems to matter. Why do we say that? Look at the numbers. In the past 3 years, more than 280 complaints have been filed with the Better Business Bureau. And it's not just about cold food or sandwiches missing meat. It's about orders that vanished, mistakes no one explained, apologies that came too late or never came at all. One customer said they ordered a BLT but got nothing but lettuce. No bacon in sight, and when they complained, there was no refund, no replacement. Just silence. As if they were talking to a wall. That's not how you treat a regular. All of this creates a feeling you can't quite name, but it's very real. The feeling of once being important only to suddenly become a stranger. For many middle-aged customers, Panera used to be the place for catching up with friends, for quiet weekend mornings, for a light, healthy meal after the gym. But now, no one remembers your name. No one saves your usual spot. And if you have a question, the response email takes days, if it comes at all. The problem isn't just declining service, it's a shift in mindset. From a brand that once cared about every little detail of customer experience into a machine that only processes orders and squeezes every penny. When people no longer feel valued, they don't just stop buying, they stop believing. And once trust is gone, it's nearly impossible to win back. Reason 5. A space. Now run by machines, and the heart has left. There used to be places that felt like stepping into a gentle hug in the middle of a busy day. They didn't need to be fancy or filled with sparkling lights or live music. Just the smell of fresh bread, a friendly greeting from a staff member, and a little table by the window were enough to make you feel like things were a bit better. Panera Bread used to be that place for millions of Americans. But if you walk in today, you may not recognize it anymore. Step into Panera now, and instead of a familiar smile behind the counter, the first thing you'll likely see is a cold touch screen. No one asks what you'd like. No one suggests something new. Just a glass panel, a few items on display, and you doing the work yourself, like buying a movie ticket. You order yourself, you choose your seat yourself. You pick up your food yourself when your name flashes on a board. It feels like someone turned off the background music, dimmed the warm golden light, and replaced the cozy experience with a smooth automated process, but one with no soul. Panera once prided itself on being a fast casual brand, quick, but still quality, convenient, but still thoughtful. They once marketed Panera 2.0 as a step forward. But customers didn't come to Panera for technology. They came for simplicity, friendliness, connection. Kiosks and apps may speed up orders, but there's one thing machines cannot do: make customers feel valued. When you place an order through an app and just wait to grab it from a self-service shelf, that's no longer dining. That's a transaction. The space at Panera has also changed. From small cafes with soft, light, warm wooden tables and the kind of setting where people could read or work quietly for hours, now many locations have shifted to a minimal, sterile model, redesigned for speed drive-through or just grab and go. Fewer seats, harsher white light, smaller tables. No longer the ideal place to hold a group meeting, catch up with an old friend, or just sit still for a while. Now it's just a pit stop in a world rushing after profit. And this didn't happen by accident. Once private equity took over Panera, every core value was slowly replaced by growth metrics. Modernize, streamline, optimize, and repeat. The logic sounds convincing: save labor costs, boost productivity, improve margins. But in return, customers lost the reason to come back. These funds don't build dreams. They buy someone else's dream, squeeze it dry with spreadsheets, and leave a husk on the market. Red Lobster was once where families gathered. Boston Market was once beloved for home-style meals. Today, they're half-empty chains serving frozen food and long disappointment. Panera is now on the same path. Loyal customers who once trusted the brand now ask themselves, why should I spend money in a place that doesn't need me? A place that doesn't want me to stay longer than 15 minutes. A place where I no longer know the staff and no one knows me. The space that was once warm is now as cold as an operations center. The atmosphere that was once calm is now as tense as airport rush hour. And the painful truth, this was by design, not negligence, a strategy. And is it really surprising that revenue is no longer what it used to be? That customers are lukewarm on gift cards? That older patrons, once the most loyal regulars, now feel lost between apps, QR codes, and reminders to grab their own food? People don't need another brand that delivers faster. They need a place to remember, a place to return to, a place where they feel respected. When that's gone, no amount of money can buy back lost trust. Someone once said private equity is the kiss of death for all that is good. Someone builds a dream, then sells it to a soulless corporation. Prices go up, quality goes down, and the dream dies. Not with a loud crash, just with empty chairs, an app too complicated, a cold meal, a familiar corner table now cleared away, and then no one comes back. Panera Bread may still have its doors open, but for many, the Panera they once loved is gone forever. And perhaps the deepest loss isn't in the food itself. It's that the heart has left without even saying goodbye. Behind the failure of a brand lies more than numbers charts or balance sheets. It's the story of people who once trusted, once stayed loyal, once wove it into their daily lives. But in the end, the lesson is always the same: when a brand grows and forgets what made it special, when it abandons its core to chase metrics, sooner or later the price will be steep. Customer connection cannot be bought back with a marketing campaign. Trust cannot be rebuilt with a few app updates. And a once warm space cannot be replaced by LED lights and a cold kiosk. This video isn't meant to tear down any brand. Our purpose is to reflect, to analyze, and to ask what happened and what could happen next. If you found this content useful, please subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and don't miss upcoming videos where we tell the stories mainstream media often leaves out.
This video does not promote division within the United States or encourage segregation. All content is presented for the purpose of exploration, analysis, and fostering discussion based on current events, public sentiment, and social trends. We fully respect the United States Constitution and all federal regulations. If today's analysis made you think, drop a comment so we can keep the conversations going. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you will never miss our next independent deep dive.